The good news is this, and that is the first medical treatment that has been made for COVID-19 has now arrived.
Governor Abbott announcing a step forward in the fight against COVID-19 in Texas. He spoke Thursday in Lubbock to talk about the distribution plans for a newly approved COVID-19 antibody treatment. The treatment from Eli Lilly is similar to what President Trump received when he contracted the virus. The announcement is good news, but the state's top doctors warn Texans not to let their guard down. Maggie Glenn takes a closer look.
2 to 3 days afterwards, I felt great, much better. The symptoms were already improving.
Michelle Herrera and her husband both received the newest antibody treatment when it was still in its trial phases. They both got the IV drip within days of testing positive for COVID.
One of us needed to get better.
She says signing up for the trial in Central Texas was a no-brainer for the chance to get back to taking care of their 2 kids.
No family's coming to help you when you have COVID. No friends are coming to help you. I mean, they'll bring food to your door, but no one wants to come in.
But it won't be so easy for everyone to get the treatment.
It's very promising, but it's not magical. It still has to be given to the right group of people at the right time.
Now that it's been approved by the FDA, Texas will start receiving weekly allotments, but supplies will be limited to those who test positive and are in a vulnerable population.
Its best use is for the early stage of COVID cases and patients who are in the early iterations of COVID-19.
That's why the state's top doctors are hoping this doesn't provide a false sense of security.
We've got this monoclonal antibody. We have vaccines coming on the way, but this is a marathon, and we're not at the finish line yet.
Our vaccine, in the meantime, is this mask. And the more we wear this mask, the more we protect ourselves and the more we protect others.
The treatment will first be allocated to areas with high COVID-19 hospitalization rates. That includes Amarillo, Lubbock, and El Paso. For State of Texas, I'm Maggie Glenn.
Governor Abbott said that he will not order another state lockdown, even as COVID-19 cases continue to rise. Here's how he explained his approach during Thursday's news conference.
It is important for everybody in the state to know that statewide we're not going to have another shutdown, and there's various reasons for that. One is there's an overestimation of exactly what a shutdown will achieve, and there's a misunderstanding about what a shutdown will not achieve. If you lock people down and try to prevent any movement whatsoever, there are now known severe medical consequences of that, emotional, mental type consequences to it, as well as the devastating financial consequences. Lesser known, however, is the ineffectiveness of it, because one thing that we've learned over the course of COVID is one of the most common ways that COVID is spread today is not by someone going to work, but by people gathering together in home settings or in casual settings after bars close or something like that. And so shutdowns will not lead to the positive results that some people think. With regard to local authorities, there are plenty of tools in the toolboxes of local authorities to achieve the results that are needed. If you go back to my last executive order that provided what the protocols and centers were if hospitalizations increased above a threshold level in a particular region, it provided additional tools such as closing down bar settings, such as reducing occupancy capacity, and other tools that local officials do have. What I have found, and what I found, for example, in El Paso, when I talked to the county judge in El Paso, I said, you need to enforce the protocols. And he said that he couldn't, or didn't feel like he could, just because of the challenge and complication of it. And what that means is some local officials are not using the tools that are available to them to make sure that they are taking every step they need. While we wait for increased volumes of these antibody therapeutic drugs as well as the vaccines, it's important for everybody to remember the habits that got us through the spike of cases of COVID-19 in July. Everyone knows that we have an increase in COVID-19 in Texas right now, but everybody also knows this is not our first response to this challenge. There was an even greater increase in COVID-19 cases, a greater increase in hospitalizations in July. And we learned at that time exactly what needed to be done in order to crush the spread of COVID-19 in Texas. And Texans joined in together to make sure that we did slow the spread. And it's going back to those very same simple habits. You will not get COVID if you do not expose yourself to COVID. You can prevent yourself from being exposed to COVID if you keep your distance from others, if you stay indoors if at all possible, if you wear a mask if you do go out, if you sanitize your hands frequently. And so these very common practices were perfected by Texans that led to the crush of COVID over the course of late August and through the month of September. We've been there before. We can do it again. All we need is for people in the Lubbock area and across the entire state of Texas to return to those safe practices that we learned over the course of the summer. And then just one larger concept, and that is, it's so easy to let our guard down, thinking that maybe COVID-19 has passed. And all we need to do is to bring that guard back up. And if we do that, we will get through this episode just as we got through the episode during the months of July and August.
The governor also spoke about the COVID vaccines being fast-tracked through the approval process. He said the state has plans in place to quickly distribute those vaccines once they're available. As Thanksgiving approaches, many families face a tough decision.
It would be very depressing not to be able to be with your family like that during the holidays.
The guidance for those thinking about taking a chance and bringing a loved one from a nursing home home for the holidays.